Hey, long time no see. Guess who is here? Coach Phill here. And I want to share with you 3 little tips why people are not buying your stuff and what you can do about it. Okay, so I hope you're doing good. I hope you're pushing. I hope you know that round about this time is the time to get excited, to be working, to be sharpening the saw, to be getting your stuff ready, to be getting your program ready, to be doing whatever it takes for you to get ready for the rest of the year, okay? This time of the year is the time you must be working deep in your stuff. You must be, closing off anything that is distracting you. You must be getting your course ready. You must be doing what you have to do to collect everybody in so that you can make some good sales and have a better end of the year. That's what we're doing right here at Intelligent Performance. And as usual, I want to share with you 3 tips, okay? 3 tips why people are not buying. Now, guess what? You want people to buy later on, don't you? Yes? I knew you would say yes, okay? I know you want people to buy later on. So, 3 tips why people are not buying from you. I've been doing some notes here, so I just thought, you know what? Why not jump on here on a quick video and just share with you why people are not buying your stuff. Number 1, the problem is not painful enough yet for them to take action. Your job is to show them how. Okay, sometimes people are not, they do have a problem. They end up in your system. They end up in your email. They've been following you for years, but they still haven't pulled the trigger. That means the problem is not painful enough yet. The problem is not, there's a story I think it was Les Brown. I think it was Les Brown who tells a story of a gentleman who walks into a shop in New York, and just as he's walking into the shop, he looks outside and there's a dog that is crying. It is wailing, it is, crying like it's in pain, and it is crying over and over again. So he walks into the shop, and after he has picked what he needs to get, he goes to the counter, he puts his stuff there, and he says, excuse me, sir. Talks to the guy on the other side, probably the shop owner, and says, hey, tell me, there is a dog outside at the door and it's crying, why don't, first of all, why is it crying? Number 2, why doesn't somebody do something about it? And the shop owner looks at him and says, hey, yeah, I know there's a dog out there and I know it is crying. What you need to understand is that dog is sitting on a nail. I want you to get this. I want you to get the psychology behind this. That dog is sitting on a nail. But the pain is not painful enough for it to get up. When it gets painful enough, that dog will get up and move. It's the same thing with your clients. They're not buying because the pain is not enough. It's not painful enough for them to take action right now. Your job is to make it much more painful by painting the picture of the opportunity cost they pay. Please note, not the opportunity cost of not doing. Yes, the opportunity cost they're going to pay, what is going to cost them if they don't do what you tell them to do, if they don't buy your product, if they don't get out there and take action, if they don't take action on what their real problem is right now. All right, so that's tip number 1. The problem they're not buying is the pain is not painful enough, if it can get any painful enough. Number 2, the reason that people are not buying is because they are, people have got a default to get back into their comfort zone for the short term, which turns into mid-term, which turns into long-term. Let me explain. It is always simpler for people to retreat back into their comfort zone of mediocrity, comfort zone of not wanting to step out, comfort zone of not, wanting to do, the work for them to step up and do what they have to do to make their lives better, or to do what they have to do to build the business and improve the bank balance and do whatever they have to do to get to the next level. Okay, people are much more comfortable in the illusion of a job. People are much more comfortable in the illusion of, there's a retainer here, or I might do 1 or 2 things here and they might keep me going. People are much more comfortable retreating back into their comfort zone rather than take action, because there's an illusion of a pain later on in case they don't get the result. Your job on number 2 is to ensure that you don't let people back into their comfort zone. You got to push people. You got to, yes, and you're persuading, you're selling. It is crucial that you don't allow them back into their retreat, okay? Show them what it's going to be like long term. Show them the seriousness of their problem long term. Show them that, hey, if you continue to work for somebody else, you know, your life is never going to get better. You're going to lose your energy before you can do something. You're also going to, you know, never wait for the competition to get to get even better. You know, I had a gentleman who came to me about 5 years ago, and he wanted to start a company in a certain niche, okay? And he came to me and said, hey, I want to do this and this. I said, you know what? Now is the right time. He said, no, you know what? I'm not sure, you know, but I'm also worried about the competition and things like that. And I asked him, how many people do you know who are doing what you're doing right now? And he was able to say, there are about 3 or 4. I said, okay, you know what? Guess what? You could be the 5th. All you got to do is differentiate yourself, make sure you're an expert, get out there, have a great product, serve your customers with excellence, and you're going to be okay. And I didn't hear from him because he didn't buy. Now, about 3 weeks ago, he comes back on my radar. And he calls me and he says, hey, you know what, coach, I'm thinking of starting. I say, what happened to you? He said, you know what, I got distracted. He went, got an NGO job, traveled around, you know, did some stuff, you know. Now he's back because the pain is more. Now he's, you know, he's also grown older and he's thinking, you know what, I got to start my consultancy now. I got to start speaking. I got to do this stuff now. And I said to him, okay, so what has changed? He said, you know what, I've just realized, you know, time is not on my side, but most importantly, if I don't do it, I have so much knowledge that if I don't start now, I might never do it. I said, great. And he says, but again, listen, my biggest challenge is the same excuse came up, competition. And I said to him, do you remember when you spoke about those many years ago, 4 years ago? He says, yes. I said, how many people were doing what you wanted to do then? He said there were about 4 or 5. I said, how many are there right now? And he could count off over 13 guys who were doing some kind of version of what he wanted to do. So I said to him, so if you don't take action now, it's going to get harder. It's going to get, because what? People are going to come in. There's a younger crowd. It is hungry. It is going to come in and do exactly what you want to do. How do you differentiate yourself? Work with a great mentor. So, guess what? The competition is harder. He's going to pull the trigger now. Otherwise, it gets complicated. And guess what? If you do what we tell you and you find somebody who knows what they're doing and they guide you in doing it the right way, you don't have to worry about competition. Besides, it's not competition. It's just people who are doing a certain version of you. You just got to position, package yourself in a better way to stand out and serve clients better than anybody else. And then the final tip here that I want to share with you is the reason people don't buy, again, is because they don't see or understand the long-term value of your product. They cannot relate. In their head, they can't see themselves, you know, having the results and the goals and the things that you want, that you're telling them they're going to have. And that is where your persuasion and what we call your future pacing and value ladder comes in. You got to be able to paint a great picture of what the future looks like. You got to be able to get them to actually imagine what it's going to be like, feel what it's going to be like, see what it's going to be like, so that they can relate to it and say, so if I start my business, I'll have more time, I'll have more freedom, I'll be able to spend more time with my children, I'll be able to build a house for my mom, and all these things. The moment that they begin to see it, then it becomes easier. They will not buy if they can't relate, if they can't see it. I always tell guys, if you go to a remote place, there's a place called the Table Mountain. These people are still so remote. They still walk around naked, and I don't know, I think they're still naked. Yeah, they don't know anything except their animals and grazing and what. If you go down there and you pick one young man and say to him, hey, I want you to work so hard and buy a Ferrari, that young man might turn around and ask you, is that a type of cow? Or what is it? Why? They can't relate. They don't know what a Ferrari is. It's the same thing here. Your job is to create that excitement, okay? That future pacing. We call it future pacing. Create a future pace where they can relate and see themselves with the goals, with what it could be like, you know, how happy they would be, how much freedom they would have, and as usual, how much more satisfaction they're going to have in their lives, okay? And then the final thing is, the reason that people do not buy from you especially is because of lack of belief from you, okay? Let me explain. You jump on the phone, somebody has been watching you, they've seen your information, they want to talk to you, and you jump on the phone with disbelief, with lack of certainty. You don't believe in your heart. You don't have, you know, there's a subconscious trigger of sabotage because you don't believe in the product, you don't believe you can help them, you know, and that is one of the greatest things I've seen, and I'm helping lots of my clients with, to believe that it can work, to believe that if it has worked for them, then it can work for somebody else. You must, you know, people will be able to sense if there's doubt in you. People can